This is 900,000 years ago in East Africa, and humanity is prey, not predator, prey. What Kibo doesn't know, what she can't know, is that there are only 1,280 breeding humans left on the entire planet. Her entire species could fit inside a modern high school stadium. One wrong move, one slip from this tree, and humanity's odds get infinitely worse. The world is tearing itself apart through climate chaos. Around 900,000 years ago, human ancestors in Africa were pushed to the brink of extinction during a time of drastic climate change when glacial cycles became longer and more intense. What scientists call the early Middle Pleistocene transition has turned Africa from a predictable landscape into a death trap. The rains that once came like clockwork, gone for years at a time. The forests that provided shelter and food, shrinking into isolated patches surrounded by endless, exposed grassland. The animals our ancestors hunted, many of them vanishing, starved out by the same drought that's killing everything. The population of breeding individuals was reduced to just 1,280 and didn't expand again for another 117,000 years. 117,000 years. That's not a bad decade or a rough century. That's longer than modern humans have existed. For perspective, our species, Homo sapiens, has only been around for perhaps 400,000 years total. These ancestors of ours, probably Homo erectus or a close relative, somehow survived an extinction event lasting 3 times as long as written human history. The leopard below Kibo suddenly loses interest, padding away toward easier prey. She waits, muscles screaming, until the spotted coat disappears into the tall grass. Then she descends, quickly, scanning constantly for the next threat, because in this world, everything wants to eat you. Kibo's clan huddles in the rock shelter they've claimed near the dried riverbed. There are 17 of them, down from 32 last year. The fever took the young ones first, their small bodies unable to fight infections that a well-fed immune system might have conquered. Then the hunters who ventured too far for water and never returned. These aren't the mighty Homo erectus of popular imagination, the bold hunters, masters of fire, conquerors of continents. These are desperate survivors. Evidence from fossilized bones shows that even species like Homo habilis, which lived slightly earlier, remained vulnerable to predators, particularly leopards, despite having stone tools and developing brains. The shift from prey to predator happened slowly, painfully, with countless setbacks. Kibo's group has stone tools, simple flakes of volcanic rock that can slice hide and crack bones. But a sharp rock doesn't stop a cave lion's charge. It doesn't outrun a pack of giant hyenas in the open. The clan's real weapon is each other. Kibo's brother, Mac, stands watch while others sleep. The elderly woman they call grandmother remembers which roots won't poison you, which caves flood in unexpected rains. 3 hunters work together to drive a young antelope toward the others, who hide behind rocks with heavy stones. Cooperation, memory, planning. These are the tools keeping humanity barely alive. But tonight, the real crisis isn't predators, it's the child. Grandmother is dying. Everyone can see it. She's maybe 40 years old, ancient by the standards of this brutal time, and she hasn't been able to keep food down for days. Her knowledge of the land is irreplaceable. She knows where the underground springs hide, which seeds can be ground into paste during the worst droughts, how to read the flight patterns of vultures to find carcasses before the hyenas do. But she's also consuming precious water. The dried riverbed they're camped by still has a few pools in the deepest spots, but those won't last another month without rain. The choice is unspoken but understood. Abandon her and stretch the water for the group, or stay and risk everyone. Kibo watches Mak carry water to grandmother's lips, help her sip, watches him soak a leather cloth and place it on her burning forehead. They stay. This moment, this choice, might seem small in the vast sweep of human evolution, but it's everything. Analysis of ancient Homo erectus fossils, including a skull from Dmanisi, Georgia, suggests that some individuals survived for extended periods despite losing all their teeth, which would have required others to help gather, hunt, and prepare soft food. Our ancestors weren't just smart, they were kind. They cared for the weak. They shared knowledge across generations, even when survival demanded cruelty. This is what kept us alive when 98.7% of our population vanished. 3 weeks later, grandmother is impossibly still alive, weak but conscious, and she's watching Kibo with ancient, knowing eyes as Kibo does something new. For days, Kibo has been studying the behavior of grasshoppers during the drought. They gather in massive swarms near any remaining moisture, covering the ground in crunchy, protein-rich masses. Most clan members won't touch them. They're not real food like meat, but Kibo is desperate and pregnant, her body screaming for nutrition. She uses a flat stone to crush hundreds of grasshoppers into a paste, then mixes it with the pounded seeds grandmother showed her. The result is dense, calorie-rich, and utterly unfamiliar. She eats it, keeps it down, makes more. Within days, the others are doing the same. It's not innovation born of genius. It's innovation born of starvation. But it works. Homo erectus survived through increased reliance on a broader set of tools and may have been the first to use fire. Then comes the night that changes everything. Lightning strikes a dead tree near their shelter, and it erupts in flames. Most animals flee from fire. Our ancestors have been fleeing from it too. But Mac does something different. While the flames are still small, still manageable, he approaches with a bundle of dry grass, lights it, carries the flame back to the shelter. Fire, controlled fire. The leopards that circle at night suddenly stop approaching. The cave lions that roar in the darkness keep their distance. The clan's shelter, once a trap with limited escape routes, becomes a fortress. Grandmother dies eventually, but not before teaching Kibo and the others everything she knows about the land, the seasons, the patterns that repeat. Her knowledge doesn't die with her. It lives on in their memories, passed through words and demonstration to the next generation. The population bottleneck lasted about 117,000 years, and an estimated 65.85% of current genetic diversity may have been lost during this period. For 117,000 years, every human alive was descended from that tiny group of survivors. Every genetic innovation, every beneficial mutation, every bit of inherited knowledge had to pass through that narrow bottleneck. We are all, every person reading this, descended from people like Kibo and Mac, from the ones who stayed with the dying grandmother, from the ones who tried eating grasshoppers when everything else was gone, from the ones who grabbed fire instead of running from it. The climate eventually shifts. Around 813,000 years ago, the population of pre-humans began to swell again. The rains return gradually. The mega-herbivores come back. The forests expand. But humanity is different now. We've been through the crucible. We've learned that cooperation beats strength, that innovation beats size, that caring for each other might be the most powerful survival tool ever evolved. Kibo's great-great-great-grandchildren, magnified across thousands of generations, will walk out of Africa. They'll cross Asia, reach Europe, populate every continent. They'll build cities and civilizations. They'll write stories about their origins and wonder where they came from. And it all came down to this: 1,280 people who refused to give up, who shared water when they barely had enough, who stayed with the sick, who tried new foods, controlled fire, faced down predators together, who survived 117,000 years of hell because they took care of each other. You carry their DNA, their resilience, their stubborn refusal to become extinct. The next time you face something that seems impossible, remember, your ancestors survived the actual apocalypse with nothing but sharp rocks and each other. You've got this. Want to learn more about human evolution and survival? Subscribe for more stories about where we came from and what we're capable of. Drop a comment about which ancient human species you want to hear about next. and share this with someone who needs to remember they come from survivors.